So hopefully he got it. Okay, we'll bring the meeting to order. And hopefully our tech person got the high sign or whatever to start the meeting. So he's doing it remotely. So, good evening, everyone. And we'll begin. There was no closed session for today, so we'll begin with if there's any additions or prioritization of the agenda. Councillor Borneman. Okay, 10 to what? Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. May we have a mover and seconder for the agenda as amended? Councillor Saulnier, Councillor McCann, that the council agenda for April 17th, 2018 be approved as amended. All in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest of the general nature thereof? Councillor Keith.
Yes, 9.2.1, as I'm both on the planning board as chair and receive remuneration as well as on council here receiving such.
Councillor Horn.
Same resolution, 921, as I'm a member of the planning board and receive remuneration from the planning board. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Any further declarations of pecuniary interest? No? Okay, mover and seconder for the minutes, please. Councillor Marshall, Councillor Borneman, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held April 3rd, 2018 be approved as circulated. Any discussion on those minutes? No? All in favor? That's carried. Questions of staff? Councillor Keith.
Yes, my question is of Mr. Thompson. I'm just wondering, Mr. Thompson, I think there was a blitz on, was there, in respect to COs or alarms in one part of town? Can you tell me how that went, please?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, on Saturday morning for about 4 hours, fire department went through the River Street, Greenwood subdivision, Louisa Street area of town, knocking on doors, talking to people about smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. We had a great response from the public to be out there and communicating with them. We did end up giving away or installing 2 carbon monoxide detectors as well as an additional 3 smoke alarms. Overall, I would say it was a very successful day. We were able to do a lot of education and hopefully make everyone a little bit safer.
Thank you. Councillor Borneman.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is for Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, we're about to undertake work on Wabick Street. In the past, there have been concerns or requests after infrastructure work like that gets finished for residents to cut asphalt to install natural gas and other utilities to the home. I'm wondering if you could advise the folks who reside down there what our rules and how they would go about installing any of these utilities if they so wish.
Through Your Worship, we're doing something a little bit differently this year. We're having a meeting on Thursday, actually this week, with the local utilities, just to give them information on what exactly we're doing, and that we're providing them with the information to know that they have to contact the property owners if they wanted to have natural gas installed, or if they wanted to have anything underground, any underground work done before we come along. So we're doing a bit of a proactive approach with the utilities to give them the advantage to go and knock on the people's door just to say, do you want to have natural gas installed now? Because now is the best time to do it. Once the work is done, the town has a policy that basically we don't allow any open cuts on roads for at least 5 years, because we want to maintain the road in the condition that it's built for at least 5 years before anything's starting. So we're doing, we're gonna go a little bit more proactive this year to get the utilities to start knocking on people's door to get the word out that we're coming.
Any further questions of staff? Nope. Okay. Correspondence, Ms. Boggs.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First letter is from David Pierce. He's the supply chain officer for Stewardship Ontario. And it's a letter they send out quarterly when they give out the checks. So it's an industry funding for municipal blue box recycling for the fourth quarter of the 2017 program. And a check for $15,138.74 was enclosed, circulated to Mayor and Council, and forwarded to the Director of Public Works for follow-up. Excuse me, thank you note from Wendy Childerhose. Thank you note for Council and staff's contribution to the West Parry Sound Health Center Foundation in memory of Janet Childerhose. Circulated to Mayor and Council and staff and posted on the staff bulletin board. Letter from Andrea Spinney, Deputy Clerk, Seguin Township. And there's a resolution enclosed for discussions with Parry Sound for proposed boundary adjustment. Circulated to Mayor and Council and forwarded to the CAO for follow-up. 2 AMO watch files, March 29th and April 5th, Municipal Industry News. Circulated to Mayor and Council and forwarded to myself for inclusion on the e-agenda. And there was a PHONOM announcement, PHONOM's comments on the 2018 provincial budget. Circulated to Mayor and Council and forwarded to myself for inclusion on the agenda, and that's it.
Great, thank you. The next item is deputations, and we have a deputation tonight from Donald Sanderson and Jim Hanna from the West Parry Sound Health Center. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much to Mayor and Council for allowing West Parry Sound Health Center this time on your busy agenda. We are also thankful to staff members who have worked with us to schedule our visit here this evening, so thank you to them. I am the Communications and Community Relations Officer, Jim Hanna, and you know that I am here with Donald Sanderson, the CEO of Lakeland Long-Term Care and West Parry Sound Health Center. Over the past few weeks and over the weeks to come, we will be speaking at council meetings throughout West Parry Sound. This is our third stop. We strongly support the belief that open communication and the strength of our relationship is important to the communities we are privileged to serve. Your constituents are the patients and families that we care for. We all need to be careful stewards of limited financial resources. It has recently been announced that Ontario's hospitals are receiving an additional $822 million, a much-needed 4.6% increase, very close to the request made by the Ontario Hospital Association in its pre-budget submission to the provincial government. We have been told by our funders at the Northeast Local Health Integration Network that we will receive $322,800 in additional funding. In fact, a calculation of 2% of our projected operating expense for the current year would amount to approximately $922,000. A 4.6% increase, as has been reported on our operating expenses of close to $33 million, would have been $1.5 million in additional funding. We are thankful for every dollar we receive, but contrary to recent reports that what we are receiving will go a long way to help some of the pressures at West Parry Sound Health Center, the expected increase will not cover the inflationary costs that we continue to experience. Between 2013 and 2017, wages have increased 8.83%, benefits have gone up 3.41%, our food costs have risen over 26%, utility costs up over 6.5%, and our equipment costs over 27%. In the face of these mounting financial challenges, we are confident that a balanced budget was achieved in the fiscal year that ended just a few weeks ago. The important message that we have tonight is this effort cannot be sustained year over year. We will work with our funding partners at the Northeast Local Health Integration Network to share an understanding that a balanced budget and the status quo are on a collision course. We are currently preparing information for the Northeast Local Health Integration Network that will reinforce the needs of our community and make a strong case for funding at West Parry Sound Health Center that is appropriate, equitable, and dependable. We are very pleased to be sharing with Council tonight news that West Parry Sound Health Center is now fully engaged in the Northeast region's largest and most transformational project ever. Our staff and physicians are working together with their colleagues at Sioux Area Hospital and the North Bay Regional Health Center to become the first 3 hospitals in the Northeast Local Health Integration Network to share the same electronic health record system. Over the next few years, every hospital in our LHIN will join together in using the same system. This means the seamless and secure movement of personal health information, care providers sharing best practices in support of the very best patient care, a system, truly a system, working in cooperation and linking to other hospitals throughout the province. Municipal financial support for health professional retention and recruitment is necessary to sustain and develop the healthcare services expected and needed in our community. That funding, along with our EHR project, is helping to create an environment that is supportive and rewarding for the multidisciplinary team that is needed to care for our communities today and into the future. We have recently experienced how very fragile our local healthcare system can be. We are hopeful that this council will resume support for retention and recruitment work. Recent successes include a 4th general internist will soon be coming to practice at West Parry Sound Health Center, joining Doctors Farger, Yakubowski, and Mills. New practitioners in family medicine are also being attracted by our community's family health team. Over a year ago, the Community Engagement Committee of the Board of the Health Center began scheduling off-site meetings, gathering outside of the health center with community groups throughout our catchment. Finding new ways to more actively and directly engage with patients and families has become an important priority for all hospitals in the province. We are now successfully including what we call the voice of the patient in many areas of the work we do. We have started a patient and family advisory council that reports directly to our board. In addition to the council, patient and family advisors are now active on 2 board committees, and they are becoming involved with our staff in workplace wellness and safety projects. We want your community to know that we are seeking citizens who have experienced our care or family members who have experienced our care, people who would like to help us in creating improved experiences for all patients. We are growing the council, and in doing that, we are attempting to balance gender, age groups, cultures, and gaining representatives from all of the communities that we serve. We conclude our remarks this evening with an important note of thanks to the ratepayers of Parry Sound. This is a very generous community, a source of leadership and enthusiasm for the work that we do. Your constituents are helping to make our success possible. Whether supporting the purchase of necessary equipment for improved patient care in the health center, or helping to raise the millions of dollars that are needed for our electronic health records project, we are grateful to the citizens of Parry Sound. We encourage everyone to participate in our foundation's Georgian Bay Walk Run Poll, taking place along your streets and along your waterfront on May 27th. We conclude by thanking every member of this council for your personal commitment and the leadership you provide in the communities we are mutually privileged to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your efforts, certainly, with the health center. We know it's not an easy task, finding those dollars to do, and I do have a question. The increase that you received from the provincial government, is it ongoing or is it a one-time percentage?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we haven't, just to be clear, we haven't received anything yet. We've received a number of funding letters and it is still not clear exactly what we're getting and whether it's one time or ongoing.
Okay.
And if I could just clarify, in Mr. Hanna's notes, it talks about electricity or utility costs going up 16%, and I think we've missed 10% of that, so.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, everybody's facing that. I know what the town pays for electricity costs for all of its buildings, and it's substantial. So, the other, so it's just so you know, we made our ongoing commitment to the health center in our budget with regard to recruitment and retainment. So you should be getting a check, I would think, at some point, but it wasn't in the budget.
On behalf of the community, thank you very much.
Yeah. Are there any questions from council? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming and giving us an update. It's appreciated. Yeah. I take it there's no more deputations tonight? No. Okay, we have mayor and councilors' reports then. I can't remember where I left off. It's Councilor Marshall, I guess, then. Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Had a rather slow past 2 weeks for me on the council front. I have had no meeting since the last council meeting here back earlier in April. Just a couple of things I do want to mention, though. Tomorrow night, the Parry Sound Public Library continues its travelogue events. Tomorrow at between 6 and 8 p.m. in recognition of National Canadian Film Day, the library will be screening the film Water by Deepa Mehta. So if you're around the library tomorrow night, check that film out. Just want to pass along my congratulations as well to many of the Parry Sound-based businesses which took home awards at the Parry Sound Area Chamber of Commerce last Saturday at Sequin Valley. Some of the recipients include Canada College, Trestle Brewery, Maurizio's Pizzeria, Dentistry on the Bay, and Meg Wallace Photography. And they all took home, South Parry Lumber's not in Parry Sound though. So, okay, well, we can mention South Parry Lumber in Sequin though. So, congratulations to them all on their awards. Just what I mentioned 2 weeks ago about delaying swapping out winter tires for summer tires. I took my own advice and I was supposed to have them off yesterday. I called the garage and said, wait a week. And boy, am I ever glad I did, the way the streets were yesterday with that ice. So, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Barneman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I joined Councillor Marshall in congratulating the businesses on their awards last weekend. On April 11th, the DBA met. We accepted the strat plan that's on the agenda this evening. I want to thank all those who contributed their time and their thoughts. I think the elephant in the room for the DBA and for every urban center moving forward is the internet. How to deal with Amazon and the like isn't specifically addressed in the strat plan. And moving forward, I expect that that'll be a larger and larger concern for retailers in small town Canada. Hopefully this plan doesn't go to a shelf and collect dust. Hopefully it's something that's used, and I think it'll be up to succeeding councils to monitor whether or not that's happening. I'd remind folks that the DBA's AGM is scheduled for this Thursday at the Legion. Doors are to open at 5:30 and the meeting to begin at 6. So hopefully there will be a good representation of folks from the downtown there. On April the 12th, the Parry Sound Industrial Park Board met. Again, it was a light agenda. Financials were accepted and demonstrate that we are on track. The board determined to reduce the meeting schedule, a reflection of the light agendas that we've had lately, and agreed to meet every other month or at the call of the chair as necessary. on Friday the 13th, along with Mr. Menz, Mr. Brown, and a real good number of staff from the town. I attended the retirement party of John Wright. I mentioned this a while back. I would reiterate, congratulations, John. We wish you the best moving forward. And one other blurb here tonight from Lakeland Holdings. Earlier today, they issued a warning for people in the area that we should be expecting water levels to rise. I'm going to surmise that that means that temperatures might actually go up in the near future. Due to the cold weather, riverbanks and shorelines are slippery and in places unstable. They're advising people to exercise caution, maintain close supervision and children and pets in those areas. So I hope people take that advice to heart. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Councillor McCann?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, council and staff and people watching. More pleasure than business, I suppose, for me in the last couple of weeks. Councillor Marshall mentioned the travel log coming up at the library. We were at the last one in which Jim and his wife Kim presented travel log on their trip to Africa. It was very informative. It was in support of the public library and well done. Councillor Borneman mentioned the Industrial Park Board. Just adding to that, in addition to financial statements and the having our meetings every other month, we continue to explore some sort of solution for broadband. I think right now our tenants in the park are really not screaming really for broadband. They've got their own sources at this point, but at some point it would be great to have something a little bit more centralized or in the park that will service all of our tenants. And then on Saturday evening, April 14th, my wife and I attended a special fundraiser in McKellar. It was in support of the McKellar Historical Committee. There was a spaghetti dinner and concert, and the food was great. Entertainment by Men of the Sound and Harbor and silent auction and that sort of thing was very well attended. The organizers were overwhelmed by their support, things that they're trying to do in their community. It was nice to run into people from other municipalities at this event as well. So congratulations on a successful event. The food was good, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sonia?
Good evening, everyone. I didn't have any meetings in the last 2 weeks, so I don't have a report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Horn?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On April 9th, I attended the Parry Sound and Area Drug Strategy meeting. And if everyone remembered, a couple of months ago, the North Bay Parry Sound Health Unit did a presentation here at Council about moving forward with a committee for the area to look at a number of solutions and education to the drug issue in Parry Sound's surrounding areas. So I'd like to thank the North Bay Parry Sound Health Unit for spearheading that initiative, and also all the user groups that attended the meeting. And stay tuned, there's a number of strategies that will be coming out in the near future. And also a reminder, the deadline is coming up for the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame youth celebration events. So applications are due on May 4th, and the event is on June 23rd. So ladies and gentlemen, let's celebrate our youth in this area. I'd just like to send my condolences out to the town of Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and their tragedy. And I think it's time across the country to celebrate our youth. And I'd really plead with everyone out there that if you have a young man, woman that is doing something great in this community, please put their application in. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, the public and staff. I too would say I express my condolences in reference to the Humboldt tragedy that occurred. And certainly that is a great loss for all Canadian society. I attended the Industrial Park Board meeting, and that has already been mentioned. I attended the Chamber Board, the gala, the President's Gala on Saturday night. Certainly, there were some board members, a good number of board members were at that gala, including Mayor Chris Armstrong, who is the treasurer of the board, Councillor Adams from Seguin Township, Gail Burrows, Krista. It was well organized. Our MPP, Norm Miller, was there, and I thought it was a lovely meal, but there was certainly a lot of camaraderie there. And the awards that were won, I think that was really significant also. As mentioned, Meg Wallace for photography won an award, and for entrepreneurship. There were actually Peter Estevan in that case accepted the award. South Parry Lumber for outstanding customer South Parry Lumber for won an award. Also outstanding customer service was Maurizio Pizzeria. The outstanding trades and professional was Dr. Lori Lottie. A community spirit was definitely Canadore College, has certainly been quite active this last year. And the President's Award went to Trestle Brewery. It was also nice to see afterwards. There was some draws that it seemed a fair number of people won, which actually was jam from Crofters. So I think people will be eating sweets for a little while, and it was well attended. And I think it was nice to see a variety of members and businesses from various areas in the community, to see that really there's a camaraderie there, and it's nice to see that in our region, and that is our report.
Thank you, Councillor Keith. I didn't have too much of a report because I was away, but I would like to have people, volunteers that are in the community, remind them that tomorrow night at the Stocky Centre at 7 p.m. is a volunteer appreciation night for all those, and we certainly appreciate the efforts of all the volunteers that do volunteer in Parry Sound, because they make a lot of things happen that otherwise would not happen. So again, that's April 18th, or tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Stocky Centre. I'd also like to thank Councillor Borneman for chairing the meeting. He did a fine job while I was away. That's good. And I wasn't here, but I would like to offer my very sincere condolences to the family, friends, and anyone that knew the youth that, and the coach too, that were killed in that severe accident in Saskatchewan and Humboldt. So certainly on behalf of myself, council, and the community, we offer our very sincere condolences. And I have to agree with Councillor Horn that if you know someone, a youth, that is doing good deeds in the community, please submit their names to the Youth Recognition Night that Mr. Orr is hosting at the Stocky Centre. Too many times there are youth that go unrecognized, and certainly they need the recognition to let other youth know that good things can happen. And, just so you know, word travels. When people found out we were Canadians in Ireland, they expressed their condolences to us to give to, and I can do that through this message, to the family, again, family and friends of that humble tragedy, because when they heard about it, they were just totally shocked that something that tragic could happen. And so anyway, I know there were a number of them that expressed their sincere condolences too. So we just hopefully learn from this and nothing like that happens again. So That's my report, and we'll go on to the agenda. I guess since we had no closed session, I don't have to mention item number 7, which is ratifications from closed. So that's not applicable. Yeah. So item 8.1, moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Horn, that the 295 McPherson Squadron Royal Canadian Air Cadets be permitted to hold a tag day on May 5th, 2018 for the purposes of fundraising. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Just the one moved up. After, okay. Item 8.2, moved by Councillor Marshall and seconded by Councillor McCann, that the auxiliary of the West Parry Sound Health Centre be permitted to hold a tag day on July 13th, 2018 for the purposes of fundraising. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Item 8.3, moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Keith. Whereas Parry Sound's procedural bylaw 2018-6814 stipulates that the inaugural meeting of council shall be held no later than the second Tuesday in December at 8 p.m. And whereas council's current set of 2018 meetings has scheduled a regular council meeting December 4th, 2018, therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Parry Sound cancels the regular scheduled meeting for December 4th, 2018 and sets the date for the inaugural meeting of 2019 to 2022 council elect for December 11th, 2018, and further that the scheduled regular meeting of December 18th shall remain unchanged. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Yeah, okay. Item 10.2.1, moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Horn, that bylaw number 2018-6827 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2004-4653, the zoning bylaw is amended for the property on Hannah Road, Fuller, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Horn that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion? Councillor Keith.
Can Mr. Elgie just explain what is going on here for the public, please? Thank you.
Through your worship, essentially the individual wants to build a single detached dwelling. The zoning bylaw in the town requires that all new development in the urban service area be on full water and sewer services. This case on Hannah Road, sewer is about 120 meters away. It would be very expensive to extend it. And every other house in between where the services stop and where this house is, there's about 5 or 6 properties, is on sewer right now as well. So we view it as acceptable to amend the bylaw to permit a septic tank for this property.
Okay. Councillor Bournemouth.
Mr. Elger, you said every property's on sewer. Did you mean they're on septic?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McCann, that upon the recommendation of the Downtown Steering Committee, Council received the Downtown Business Association Strategic Plan attached to Schedule A. Discussion. All in favor? That's carried. I found it interesting reading. Item 9.1.2, moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Horn. Whereas the Downtown Steering Committee was appointed with the mandate to provide stewardship to the downtown sustainability plan, ensuring the long-term viability of the downtown. And whereas a number of the recommendations have been implemented, including the approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Downtown Business Association and the town, and the development of a downtown strategic plan. And whereas the Downtown Strategic Plan recommends a number of strategic initiatives and further recommends that an ad hoc / working committee be established to implement the initiatives. Now therefore, upon the recommendation of the Downtown Steering Committee, Council rescind Resolution 2016-207, being a resolution approving the Downtown Steering Committee terms of reference and member appointments. Discussion. Councillor Borneman.
Well, first I'd like to thank the people who took the time and effort to participate in the Downtown Steering Committee over the past couple of years. I want to thank Ms. Middaugh and Jesse Langford, the time and effort that they put into it as well. I'd mentioned in my councillor's report that I thought that it's going to be up to councils moving forward to monitor this, and this is in large part why. The steering committee felt that it had, for the most part, fulfilled its mandate. In my time here, the DBA has sort of functioned as a one-off over there, and the town's involvement with them has been rather remote, distant. And I think that moving forward that, you know, council's invested some significant money into the downtown, into that strategic plan, and I think it's going to be up to this council for the remainder of the term and future councils to monitor that the things that are identified in the sustainability report and in the strat plan are actually getting done. And as we don't have that conduit to do it now, it'll be up to us and our staff to make sure that happens. So I would hope that you know, that's you know, a given as we move forward. Thank you.
Anything further? No? All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor Marshall, that council proceed with the investigation, assessment, and design phase for the Bobby Orr Community Center BOCC ice surface rebuild in 2018 and the actual construction in 2019, and that the 2018 capital budget for construction of the ice surface rebuild, which would be financed through debenture, be deferred until the 2019 budget. Discussion. Councillor Marshall and then Councillor Borneman.
I guess for Ms. Middaugh, the current ice surface that's in there, is that the one that was built when the old arena burned down when I was a little guy, so 1974, 1975?
Mr. Mayor, it was one of the Ontario projects, so yes, it would have been back then.
Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Borneman.
I guess my question is, I thought we were in position to move forward with this year. First, I thank you for putting it off if we're not, and I just wonder how this will roll out as we move forward.
Ms. Middaugh.
Through Mr. Mayor, the project had been included in the 2018 capital budget to proceed this year. It wasn't until such time as we engaged the project management team of Quinnen Construction and Duncan Ross Architect, and he is an engineering consulting firm as well. And they started asking questions that relate to what's underneath the pad and some of those things. And we do not have the records here going back to the 1970s that would provide that information. And the testing is something that we could not have done while the ice season was in, because it involves boreholes into the ice pad. So that wasn't possible. So it was very much a matter of we didn't know what we didn't know until we engaged the professionals. And then when we did that, this was all revealed. So had we had the assessment, the testing done, then we would have been ready to go. It will be a tight construction period anyway to get ready for fall ice, autumn ice, and this would really stress that point and make it very difficult to meet the deadlines and ready for ice season. So should council approve this, then the testing will proceed. We'll have the data, we'll have the information, so that when it comes time to preparing the specifications, there won't be as many unforeseens or as unknowns. I've talked to other communities who have undergone similar ice surface rebuilds, and same thing. When Ontario Ice Pad, they didn't have the records, you know, it went back so many years, they didn't have the information, they didn't do the testing, and there were a lot of unforeseen things as they came about. So then what that means is that it can also put stress on the budget with a lot of change orders and extras, etc. So this hopefully will slow it down. It is disappointing. We had budgeted for it to be debentured, wanted to get it done, but it just seems like the more responsible decision is just to wait until we can get all the testing done so we have the information that the architect and the project manager need to do the proper tender specifications.
Councillor Bourne.
Just as a follow-up to that, then, are we to assume that with boreholes being done, that there will be no damage to the system that's in place now, and that the ice-making abilities for the 18-19 season won't be compromised in any way?
Ms. Maddow.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the project management team that we have, Quinn Construction and Duncan Ross, they are also working with Black & Mack. Black & Mack are is the company that we have engaged. They have a long history at the arena, so they know as much as there is to know at this point about what's under the surface and about the ice-making operations. So they will be working with them on a consultation basis as well. So to answer your question, we're not anticipating that there will be any issues or challenges with the 2018-2019 season as a result of the testing. You're welcome.
Okay. Anything further? Councillor Keith?
Yes, Councillor Borneman just covered one of my questions, but it seems to me from the information that's been presented here, the bottom line is this is kind of like working on an old house. Once you start pulling it apart, you don't know what is going to be underneath and what it's going to cost you. And it sounds to me it's much better, and I'm sure the community would rather us be aware as much as possible then rather than just get to the ripping and tearing and find out it's costing us more and more. But I also thought that Black & Mack, when it does looks after the ice surface, if there's any sort of problems with the ice making, anything along that line, and they take care, they are responsible for that, so that hopefully they would be working in conjunction when it comes to fall time there to make sure that if there is any issues, how they can be remedied. And if you've already talked to some other arenas, I would think that somebody else has been in a similar boat as we're going to be in. Would I be correct there or not?
Ms. Maddow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, to your first part of your comment is that we do have a relationship with Black & Mack. They are very responsive to calls that April McNamara may make to them or other staff as issues arise. So we certainly have confidence and faith in their abilities and availability when it comes to the Bobby Orr Community Center. Getting the data, as you say, will hopefully help us or doing the testing will give us the information and the data. Hopefully that will help us understand what's behind the layers of that old house, so to speak. So that's something that we feel that is important. And certainly Black & Mack, when it comes to ice startup, if there are any issues, they would be called and they would be there to deal with them.
Okay. Anything further? No? All in favor? And that's carried. Go. Move. Oh yeah, right. You're all alone there now, Keith. Item 921, moved by Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Horn. Oh. Here, sign it. I have one on that side, and
Well, they worried about who signed it.
they did.
Well, we'll need somebody over here.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but Councillor Sonia can sign it, too.
What, didn't he move it?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, Councillor Keith and Councillor Horn both moved and seconded it, so.
Pardon me.
There's one.
Better not be any changes, Keith.
So,
Yeah, he is. Cross off Brad.
Okay. So, now it's moved by Councillor Sonia and second by Councillor McCann, whereas the town of Parry Sound has had ongoing conversations with the minister and staff of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, and it relates to being exempt from official plan amendment approval and being released from the Parry Sound Area Planning Board. And whereas the province recently announced that it is proposing to expand its municipal empowerment strategy to exempt Parry Sound from provincial official plan amendment approvals. Now therefore be it resolved, the town of Parry Sound supports this initiative and appreciates the province's proposal, and further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Minister Bill Morrow and the Northern Region of Ministry of Municipal Affairs. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Here we go. Okay, item 922, moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman, that consent application number B10/2018 PS Mariniston, 18 and 20 McFarland Street be supported subject to the following conditions. 1. Payment for a cash in lieu of parkland dedication for one new lot. 2. That the applicant be advised that each of the severed and retained lots have separate and individual water and sewer services. And 3, that the severed and retained lots obtain relief from the zoning bylaw to ensure the newly created lots are compliant frontage. Discussion. All in favor? That's carried. Just before we go on to the next item, actually, Mr. Algie can stay just for a moment. I really appreciate the fact that council supported at the last one about the local improvement so that those lots in the Macklem area can be developed. That is one way of internal growth that we can have, and certainly I am sure that once the new mega school is developed, that there are going to be a lot more people looking for lots in town to build homes on. So I think this moves the community along much better. Anyway, thank you for doing that. Moved by Councillor Keith and second by Councillor Horn. Thank you. That the 2017 statement of remuneration paid to council and appointed board members attached to Schedule A be accepted. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Bylaw 1011, moved by Councillor Marshall, second by Councillor Borneman. That bylaw 6826 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease agreement between the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the town of Parry Sound for Big Sound Marina and Town Dock be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor Marshall, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion? No? All in favor? That's carried. Yes. Yeah. Councillor Borneman.
I just want to go back to item 941, not to oppose it. It's not included in the open agenda package.
None of the listing was, no, I never saw it there.
And I just thought that if we're passing something in an open session, that it would be in the open package. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's just the one thing that I could tell.
Yeah.
The one we just.
941.
Yeah. Council remuneration. Council remuneration. It wasn't
attached
in the thing.
No, it was given to me, I just.
Okay. I even looked twice for it, couldn't find it. Councillor Borneman, I mean, Councillor Horn.
I can send that to you right now.
No, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Councillor Keith?
Well, I was just going to say, maybe that's not the way when it's not there. Maybe the alternative is to just bring that back to the next council meeting. I really think it should be on the agenda when it's not on any of the attachments anywhere. I think for accountability and transparency, we should just put it on the next agenda. Is that not possible in a case like this, so that
It will be put on. The resolution's been passed, so it will be put on the website so that it's there with that. It's just for our case, we didn't actually see that portion of it, but we will. Mr. Metz. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, that was, I was going to say what you said, it's already been approved by resolution of council, so you can't reapprove it and you can't retract it or rescind it, so.
Councillor Borneman.
So we're saying it's going on the website. Are we to assume that it will be part of the minutes? It'll be reflected in the minutes of this meeting, Mr. Menz, that it'll be added to this agenda before the minutes are passed and so forth?
Yeah.
So the resolution through Mr. Mayor is passed. It's, the minutes only contain the resolution. They don't reference the fact. Yeah, I think what we could do is note in the minutes that the
concern was brought up.
And that it was noted that the report is to be placed onto the website.
And sent to council so that we're aware of what's in it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's in the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's good. So one more thing before I go to the confirming bylaw. There's a number of people, including myself, that are going to be away for the May 1st council meeting. And from what I understand, it's not going to be that heavy of an agenda. If council so desires, we could cancel the May 1st meeting and just go to the May 15th meeting. Councillor Keith?
I move that.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Marshall. Any discussion on that? Really? Yeah?
If we may, worship. Peter and I don't mind that either. It's another night off for us, thank goodness. However, we would like to note for council's benefit that that would make this meeting Ms. Madaw's last council meeting.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Well, or are we going to make her come back for the 15th?
She'll be gone.
She'll be gone. clicked her heels and gone. Well, then in that particular case, I mean, council may express their best wishes for your retirement, but I would like to extend best wishes on behalf of myself and council to you on your retirement. And I would have to say your extraordinary years of service with the community and the effort that you've put in to try and make this a much better town. And it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, you're blushing now.
You two are going to get it tomorrow. I haven't left
No,
yet.
I know.
Well, thank you very, very much. I've been what I feel afforded a very fulfilling career here at the town of Parry Sound. I've had the privilege of working with a lot of really wonderful people here as staff and certainly council members. And when I look back on the wall of mayors, I started when Roy O'Halloran was mayor, so he's way over there. So as I say, I think I've been very fortunate, really work with really dedicated and caring staff, very proud about Parry Sound, and worked with great people in the community, very giving people. The Downtown Steering Committee is a good example of that. And I just want to thank you. It's been wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. So we didn't vote on that yet, though, did we, about the meeting? No. So all in favor? Okay. So, all right. So that's done. All right. She was. These guys were pretty quick, too. They were So, moved by Councillor Marshall and seconded by Councillor McCann that bylaw number 2018-6828, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor Marshall, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time. Passed, signed, and sealed. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so. Okay, maybe I'll read this at the beginning. So, as a sort of an information note, I'd like to remind all of our eligible voters in Parry Sound to go to MPAC's voterlookup.ca. Again, that's voterlookup.ca, and it is on our website, to check to see if you're on the voters list. It's best to check online before the clerk receives the voters list. If you wait until then, you will have to attend the office and provide your ID to get on the list. So again, go to MPAC's voterlookup.ca. So now that I've mentioned that, what about people that don't use a computer?
They can go to the library and look it up, or if they need assistance, they can come to the office.
Oh, okay. Maybe you might want to tell them that.
If you know how to use a computer, the library is always available to check on this, and also for voting as well. If you're unfamiliar with computers, then you can call the office and we'll give you a hand.
Okay.
Okay?
So, Stephanie Johnson from the newspaper, since you're here, okay, maybe that could go out somewhere, whatever, as information to the public in the paper, so that they're aware of the options of how they can make sure they check the voters list. Okay, super. Thank you very much. Councillor Warneman?
I'm wondering if some sort of notice can be provided to places like Belvedere, the Gardens, Serenity.
True.
Where there are a number of residents in one location.
So this is what I did the last election, and I've already written to all of the long-term care homes, retirement homes, to their executive directors, if you will. They've been provided with a poster, and I always recommend with these groups to suggest putting a committee together. We will go in and enumerate these folks. We'll just leave it closer to the time for enumeration. So they can check themselves, or they can wait till we come to make sure they're on the list. So those folks are covered. We're also going to be doing a blitz around town with the poster. So it'll be up in the downtown area and the north end and south end. So, yeah, so we're flogging it.
Okay, great.
You're welcome.
Great. We'll make sure we get the word out there. Councillor Keith.
So if somebody is delinquent and doesn't turn up till near the last minute, are they still not able to register if they provide proof and a utility bill and that sort of thing?
Always. And this is an attempt to ensure that we don't get a million people coming in to get on the list. But they can always, if they wait past the time and we get the list, they can always come down to the office and we will make sure they get on the list.
One final question. Is it not possible also, besides website, our town website, that seeing as that sound newsletter will come out again before the election, that something can be put in? Because I do think that, just as the comment had been made about if you don't know how to use a computer, there are still a lot of people that don't have computers and they are not buying into using a computer. They'll worry about that in the next life, but thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes, every avenue to make this information available to the public, including the sound newsletter, has been used. Okay.
Okay. Anything further? No? So, prior to adjourning, I'd like to offer the following information to the public regarding the next council meeting. The next regular meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled to take place at 52 Seguin Street in the council chambers located on the top floor. Public access to the building is off Gibson Street, and the next regular meeting of council is Tuesday, May 15th, 2018 at 7 p.m. The May 1st meeting has been canceled. All regular council meetings are held at 7 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each month, except January and August, and obviously this particular May 1st meeting. And regular and special meetings are now live streamed. Please check news and public notices on our website at www.parrysound.ca for instructions to watch live or see earlier council meetings. Agendas, changes to the council meeting schedule, and notices of special council meetings will be posted on the town's website at www.parrysound.ca under news and public notices. Prior to a council meeting, the public is able to view an electronic copy of the complete agenda with attachments on the town's website. Just search council calendar and the date of the meeting. Should you wish to receive the combined agenda via email, you may make that request on our website or contact the clerk at the municipal office. The minutes of council meetings will be posted within 2 days after the council meetings on the town's website and on the bulletin board located in the municipal office entrance. Your TV will continue to air the regular Parry Sound Council meetings on Wednesday at 9 p.m. and Saturday at 9:30 a.m. following a regular council meeting. For your TV listings, contact www.yourtv.tv. I keep changing that up. Anyway, thank you everyone and have a great night.